Right. Before we unpack what might be the most ruthless power move Prince William has ever allegedly made, smash that subscribe button and hit the notifications bell because UK Informate is bringing you the royal drama that is genuinely too explosive for polite conversation, and you absolutely cannot afford to miss what is coming next. So picture this scenario. You are Princess Beatrice or Princess Eugenie, living your life, working your job, raising your family, trying desperately to stay out of the absolute dumpster fire that is your father's scandal-ridden existence. Then your cousin William, future King of England, allegedly sits you down and delivers what can only be described as a royal ultimatum wrapped in a velvet threat. Get your father out of Royal Lodge, or we are going to start re-examining whether you get to keep your princess titles. That is not a family chat. That is not a gentle suggestion. That is straight-up Game of Thrones-level power politics. And according to journalist Emily Maitlis, yes, the same Emily Maitlis who absolutely demolished Prince Andrew in that car crash Newsnight interview, this allegedly happened. Whether it actually did or not, the fact that such claims are circulating tells you everything about how desperate and dysfunctional this situation has become. Let us break down exactly what Maitlis is claiming here, because the details are absolutely wild. On October 27th, she discussed on her podcast The News Agents that British broadcasters had been tipped off that something significant might be happening at Royal Lodge on a Thursday night. Not just tipped off, specifically told to position themselves there because drama was incoming. So naturally, reporters showed up. The BBC sent an actual helicopter, and everyone waited with cameras ready for what they thought would be a historic moment. The rumors circulating was that Prince William had met with Beatrice and Eugenie earlier that day, and essentially told them that unless they convinced their father to leave Royal Lodge, the palace would start reviewing their own titles. The implication could not be clearer. Your father's mess is now your problem, and if you cannot fix it, you will pay the price. Now here is where things get legally interesting. William, despite being heir to the throne and wielding considerable influence, does not actually have the authority to strip his cousins of their royal titles. That would require an act of Parliament. So if William made this threat, and let us be clear, Kensington Palace has denied this meeting ever happened, he would be threatening something he cannot personally deliver. But here is the thing about power. Sometimes the threat matters more than the reality. Even if William cannot personally remove their titles, he can make their lives extraordinarily uncomfortable. He can exclude them from events. He can freeze them out of family gatherings. He can signal very publicly that they are not welcome in his future reign. So whether he can legally strip their titles or not becomes almost irrelevant when he can make those titles feel utterly worthless through social and institutional exclusion. But wait, the story gets even more dramatic. Maitlis also revealed that part of the tip-off journalists received suggested King Charles himself was expected to be seen arriving at Royal Lodge, fresh from the Vatican where he had just had an audience with the Pope. The symbolism would have been absolutely devastating. Charles, head of the Church of England, having just met with the head of the Catholic Church, now arriving to read his disgraced brother the riot act. Nobody was going to film the actual conversation. Nobody was going to see Charles step out of the car, but the mere image of the king's vehicle heading towards or near Royal Lodge would have sent an unmistakable message. Enough is enough, and the head of state is personally intervening. Except here is where palace planning met reality and promptly fell apart. When helicopters started circling and cameras positioned themselves for the shot, the palace apparently panicked. According to Maitlis, someone high up decided this had gotten too big, too public, too out of control. The entire plan was cancelled. Charles just went straight home and never swung by Royal Lodge at all. Can you imagine the absolute chaos inside the palace communications office? They had orchestrated this carefully staged moment of royal authority, tipped off journalists to ensure coverage, positioned everything perfectly, and then bottled it at the last second because too many people showed up to watch. It is like planning a surprise party and canceling because too many guests arrived. The incompetence is genuinely staggering. What makes Maitlis a particularly credible source on Andrew-related matters is that she is the journalist who conducted that absolutely brutal Newsnight interview in November 2019, where Andrew claimed he could not have been where his accuser said he was because he was at Pizza Express in Woking and that he does not sweat due to an adrenaline overdose during the Falklands War. That interview was such a catastrophe that it directly led to Andrew stepping back from public life. Mateless has sources. She understands the palace machinery, and she knows exactly how dysfunctional this family's approach to the Andrew problem has been. So when she reports something like this, even if the palace denies it, people pay attention. The context here is absolutely crucial. Prince Andrew announced on October 17th that he would no longer use his Duke of York title or honors, a decision that came amid renewed scrutiny over his alleged connections to Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender who died in jail in 2019 whilst awaiting trial. Andrew has been living at Royal Lodge since 2008, paying essentially nothing in rent, whilst the public foots his security bill and watches this scandal drag on year after year. Both King Charles and Prince William reportedly want him out, but Andrew has allegedly been demanding 2 separate homes, one for himself and one for Sarah Ferguson, if he is forced to leave, which has brought negotiations to a complete standstill. So if William did meet with Beatrice and Eugenie and threaten to review their titles unless they convinced their father to leave, it would represent a dramatic escalation in tactics. It would be using his cousins as leverage against their own father, forcing them to choose between family loyalty and their own royal status. That is absolutely brutal, but from William's perspective, it might feel necessary. Andrew is not just an embarrassment. He is actively damaging the institution William will one day lead. Every day Andrew remains at Royal Lodge, paying nothing whilst living in luxury, is another day of public fury and media ridicule. William is trying to modernize the monarchy, restore public trust, and prepare for kingship, and his uncle is sabotaging all of that by refusing to accept reality. For Beatrice and Eugenie, if this ultimatum actually happened, the position is impossibly cruel. They have done nothing wrong. They have stayed out of scandal. They work regular jobs. They have built lives separate from their father's disasters. But now they are being told that his failures could cost them their own identities and status. The titles they were born with, that have defined their entire existence, could be reviewed because their father refuses to leave a house. Thanks ever so much for watching, everyone. We will catch you in the next one.